Hey everybody, welcome back. We're continuing our reading of the Sword of Allah. It's been excellent. Reads like a charm. Truly great. Again, I hope that you enjoy it too, because I've learned a lot. Just all the names here, they're dropped and feathered within the sentence structure in such a way that it makes it like you're almost in a movie. It's just great writing. Great book to review and analyze. Let's continue. The Muslim army having fully reassembled, except for a few who had fled, the Prophet decided to press his advantage. He organized a strong cavalry group and sent it forward to clear the valley before the Hawazin had time to recover and reorganize. Okay, so he wants to go there, clear the valley. The Hawazin, they're trying to reorganize, but he's got to head them off. This group was formed of several contingents, including the Bani Sulaim, over whom Khalid had regained control. So he's got them now, the Bani Sulaim. Khalid had missed the Muslims' counterattack. He had lain where he had fell in the flight of the Bani Sulaim until the counterattack was over. Then the Holy Prophet came to him and blew upon his wounds, whereupon Khalid arose, feeling strengthened and fit for battle. He quickly got the Bani Sulaim together. The entire group was placed under the command of Zubair bin al-Awwam. Okay, so we got Zubair, we got Khalid, the Bani Sulaim, the Prophet, peace be with him. Okay, we're digging into it. We got it. Who now advanced along the valley and contacted Malik in the pass. After a short brisk engagement, Malik was driven off the pass. Okay, brisk, so it's just like quick. The whole valley was now in the Muslim hands. Okay, so they got it. They got the area. The Prophet left Zubair's mounted group at the pass to hold it as a firm base and guard it against a possible return of the Hawazin. Okay, so they have to hold that ground. They gained it, now you gotta keep it, right? And sent another group under Abu Amir to Autas. Okay, so Abu Amir is heading on to Autas. This was the camp of the Hawazin, who, on being driven off the pass, had taken up positions around the camp to defend their families and flocks. On the arrival of the Muslims, a fierce clash took place at Autas. Abu Amir killed 9 men in personal combat and was killed by his 10th adversary. Now that's interesting, right? Imagine 9. And again, these people's muscles were like solid, like a rock. Just, they weren't all fat and marbled like we are today with Burger King and soda. No. These people had strength. Dude took out 9 people. What? And then on the 10th, could you imagine? Like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then you're exhausted. Here comes 10. You're like, here we go, and then blink, just like that. Woo. Woo. Whereupon the command of the Muslim group was taken over by his cousin Abu Musa. Okay, so we got Abu Musa, Abu Amir, Abu Musa, who continued the attack on Autas until the Hawazin broke and fled. Okay, so he broke them, so they got it, they did it. The camp of the Hawazin fell into Muslim hands, and here this Muslim group was joined by the cavalry group of Zubair with Khalid in the lead. Okay, so they're matched up now. Khalid's there. Alright, they're there. They did it. They took it, and they got it. Not only did they, so they got through the pass, they were able to drive off people from the valley, so they gathered it. They were able to keep it. They go over to the camp. They take it over. And Abu Amir dies. Wow. And Abu Musa takes up the lead. And then Khalid makes it in. Wow. The enemy coalition had now completely disintegrated. The Hawazin and other tribes dispersed to their various settlements. Well, the Saqif, led by Malik. Oh yeah, that's right. Saqif being led by Malik, hastened to Taif, and that's spelled Taif, where they decided to resist till the bitter end. The Battle of Hunain was over. Okay, so the Battle of Hunain deals with the Hawazin. We're gonna write that down under there. Wow, Battle of Hunain. This is so cool. Muslim casualties in this battle were surprisingly few. thanks to the indifferent archery of the Hawazin. Indifferent archery? Oh, that means they were just dumping arrows like wherever, just spray and pray. What did they call that? There was a word for it. Ramsay Bolton did it. Ramsay Bolton did it when he was making that dead body wall. Remember? He had them shoot the arrows, and then the arrows were going down, and then like, and the arrows didn't differentiate who they were killing. So he killed his own men to try to win the battle, which he did until the House Aaron, the Men of the Vale, showed up. But here, this also happened historically, and it's obviously had happened in other places, but we're not reading about that. But indifferent archery can cost you. See the kind of tactics you have to know when you're a leader back then? People make fun of, those people were stupid because they didn't have an iPhone, and it's like, man, shut up. Like, these people just knew. It's clever. You need to make sure your archers are on point, right? You can't just be spraying everywhere. While many Muslims had been wounded, only 4 lost their lives. The reason for this lay in the superior skill and courage of the Muslims, which enabled their champions to take on 3 or 4 opponents at a time. Your champions in your military being extremely important. Your decorated soldiers, right? Like your alphas, you don't want them all to be taken out. Dang, what it means to be a champion. So back then, a champion was taking on several dudes at once. It wasn't all this like, wear gloves and there's a referee and it's all has to be coded. This time it was quite different, right? Killing them one by one, 70 of the unbelievers were killed in the valley, at the pass and at Autas, and these included the sage Dureid. The sage Dureid, so D-U-R-E-I-D. I'm going to put a little bit like a quotation marks on top of that. Who had given such sound advice, but in vain. In the enemy camp at Autas, the Muslims captured 6,000 women, children and slaves, and thousands of camels, goats, and sheep. So they got possession of the territory fully. This was the first time that the Muslims had been ambushed in a large-scale operation by their enemies. This was the second instance in history of the ambush of... So notice this, large-scale operation of an ambush. The Quran talks about in it, remember, that your punishment can come from where you don't know. If you're like not evil, unexpected things happen. But people who are often the villains of their lives, they assume that they'll be able to predict the enemy opponent coming because they are so Machiavellian. But no matter how Machiavellian you are, you still can get snared in a trap. If the good can get ambushed, so can the bad, right? Isn't that interesting? By an army, the first being the ambush of the Romans by Hannibal at Lake Tarismene in 217 BC. Oh man, we gotta read about Hannibal. We totally gotta read about him. Malik had made a brilliant and flawless plan to annihilate the Muslims, but because of the poor performance of his men, could not achieve the mission that he had set himself. In spite of this poor performance, however, he would have won a resounding victory had his enemy not been the Muslims. It was the determination of the Prophet not to accept defeat, and the faith of the Muslims in their leader, which turned defeat into victory for them. Okay, so won a resounding victory. Yeah, they totally got it. If you got the food, you have the families, you have the territory, they have the valley. Yeah, they pretty much got it, right? Unlike Malik, the Prophet was not content with a limited gain, and pressed his advantage to rout the enemy and capture the entire enemy camp with all its booty. Wow, with all of its loot. This was the first time that Khalid had been taken by surprise. His first time, Well, there's always a first, brother. He had always known the value of surprise, but this time he had been at the receiving end of it. Ooh, and it's so bitter at that point, right? He saw how his otherwise brave men had panicked at the sudden appearance of the enemy at an unexpected time, in an unexpected place. He made up his mind never again to be caught unawares, and he never was. Yeah, as long as you learn, right? You learn from your lessons, and you learn. That's what life is. Whee!